Good afternoon, Mr. Eckstrom, and thank you very much for joining me on the Sami Parvez show. It has been a long time that you are appearing back.
Sammy, it feels like a lifetime, but I'm so happy to be back with my best friend, Sammy Parvez. And I've got to say, you first off, you're looking great. You're
Thank you.
looking absolutely trim, stunning. How have you been?
I'm doing good, and our channel has been monetized. That is one of best news I can share with you. And thank you very much for all the support you gave from day one. It is now almost a year. We met last June, and now it is April, almost like 1 year. It has been a long time, but it seems like it was just yesterday.
I know, and that's time flies by when you're having fun, and
Hmm.
no one has more fun than Sammy Parvez.
Yep,
So
thank you.
that's tremendous. Oh, that's great. I'm so happy, Sammy. That's
Hmm.
wonderful. Good to
And
hear.
thank you very much. And as you are running as the candidate for Grand Prairie and from Rhinocéros Party, and you have a beautiful sign, and I think you designed it yourself, right? I think
No,
you said.
I didn't design it. I had a friend of mine design it, and I think he did a tremendous job.
Yeah, it is beautiful. And how many so you have lawn signs too?
So yes, this is the one of the this is the lawn sign. I
Mm,
have a couple dozen that I bought
mm,
myself, and so this is the first campaign I've ever really spent money on,
mhm,
and I'm expecting a bunch of them to get stolen because I mean I'd steal one.
mhm,
Look at this. See, it's like prime. You don't get a sign like that. So if it gets stolen, it gets like when I was in high school, I did a bunch of dumb things. So if there's a high school kid that has this hanging in his like bedroom, uh, sure. But no, I'm pretty pleased with it. It's been well received. I have a few more that I'm going to set up around Grand Prairie today,
mhm,
and yeah, we'll hope for the best and find out if it's enough for me to unseat Chris Warkington, the conservative candidate up here, who's never gotten less than 60% of the vote. So I think he'll be fine.
mhm. And yeah, as you are running in this election, so why have you decided to run again? You are running since 2011, I believe.
Correct, Sammy. This is my with the long ballot and my by-election in Calgary. This is my 10th campaign, Sammy.
Mhm,
And I do it because it's good to have options. I do it because there are people that are frustrated that
mhm,
they do not like any of the political parties, and this gives them an avenue to show their frustration. It's one of those things. There's nothing more concise of like a criticism of your political party than getting a vote for the satirical joke party candidate. And it really is just sort of show it's a critical, it's precise. And, if you're a major political party, you lost a vote to the joke guy. Like that's an embarrassment. And I think that that's why it's an important part of the process, I feel, at the very least. And it's good to have choice, where we've been built in this trichotomy of there's only real three parties and that's it. It's good to have options, Sammy. It's good to have options.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, and at this time, your Rhinestone party. Can you please tell me how many candidates are running from your party in this election?
Yes, we have 29 coast to coast. I think it's one or two more than it was the last election. So that's progress there. We did have a few more, but they dropped out, which is that's kind of the way it goes. The Greens definitely know about candidates dropping out. They were supposed to have a full slate of candidates, and then a third of them decided not to run. So we get it. It's a part of the process, and so yeah, I think we have about 29 beautiful rhinos running freely coast to coast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what are your party platform for this election? Do you have a specific platforms or
Yeah, so
policies?
usually, Sammy, of course, if you don't know, the Rhino Party is a satirical political party, so we ultimately promise to not keep any of our promises. And so, for instance, one of the promises that we have implemented or we plan on implementing, the United States tariff issue. That is the clear number one priority of the Rhinoceros Party. And so we will counter it by using, instead of reverse tariffs, we will send a Canada Goose to Pennsylvania Avenue every time they raise it up. We will send a Canada Goose, and those things are vicious. And I think that should change it a little bit.
Mm,
Course, I have a promise right now. Of course, Northern Alberta typically gets shafted by Ottawa. And so I think that one of the things that we can do is have our homes fueled by the broken promises of Ottawa. So we'll print off the legislation that and then use that as fuel in all the homes in Alberta to keep people warm, and that'll help with the affordability thing. So there's a lot of promises we have on the docket. It's a tremendous time, Sammy. It's a beautiful time for a rhino.
mm-hmm. Yeah, so is Trump tariffs like they are in effect, like like we have some tariffs, some they try to remove or avoid. But don't you think like with these tariffs, like Canada is Canadians have come together as a nation, like we have been divided for I believe since like COVID. Things were changed, but currently the so we are seeing different, like once our former prime minister Justin Trudeau said Canada is a genocidal state, or he hate like Canada and Canadian, like our flags were upmasked. But right now we see like everywhere is like flags are flown, even though in the vehicles or in the houses or wherever you see, like everyone say we are proud Canadians. So should we think like Trump to making it happen?
Oh, yeah, well, that's I think that we should send. That's what I think the Canada Goose is. It's a I think that the Canada Goose will let him know that it's like, hey, thank you for this wonderful thing.
Mm,
No, I think you're not necessarily wrong though, Sammy. I think that certainly it's people are coming together. I mean, I go to the grocery store and I see a lot of American products that are just like a lot of it's the first time I've seen old Dutch chips selling out of the versus sort of
late.
the American. Well, even Lay's is still potato chips are made in Canada, but there's like a couple of the American like the hard bite or not. I think it's hard bite, but there's a few of the ones that are sort of more bougie
Yep.
that usually are pretty low that are sort of selling. So it is an interesting time. But it said that these are all number one priorities here for the rhinos. We have the economy, of course, is the number one priority of the Rhino Party. So we promise to change the term, GDP.
Mm,
We're gonna make it now the Great Donut Pile instead of gross domestic product. And these are small things, and these are things that people can unite behind.
mhm.
We all love donuts, Sammy.
Yep.
We've met Tim Hortons,
Yep.
donuts galore. And I
Yep.
think that those are the steps that we need to take it to that next level where we
Hmm.
really Canadianize everything. Everything Canadianize, Sammy.
Yep. Is like I don't get an opportunity to speak with any other major political parties candidates, but you are the first one who appeared on the Sami Parvez show in this election. So I need to ask you, like, there is not much talk about MPs' pay raise, MP salaries, MPs' spending. You know, like is yesterday, no, day before yesterday, I had Brian Fesifume, the Toronto Sun uh, national political reporter, who said like there are as many issues we cannot get there, like need to ask or discuss, or Canadians should realize. It seems like this politician made these issues that no one should bother to think about MP's salary, like in like on the same day when MPs got their bump on their salary, at the same time carbon tax went up. So these are the things they created. So I need to ask you, like, if you get elected as an MP, so how would you deal it? Are you going to put forward a motion to reduce the MP salary, to bring them pre-COVID, or maybe lower than that, or there should be a minimum like amount like MPs can spend from taxpayers' money?
Oh, Sammy, I would raise my I want to make more money, Sammy. I want to get my salary through the roof. I wait a second. We can raise it whenever I'm in charge of how much money I make, Sammy. Oh, the dollar signs. No, you know me. I think we've talked about this where I said like you should have like a MPs if you want to be a member of parliament on your third term,
Yeah.
you get executed at the end of it, so to show that just how committed you are to it. No, I obviously think that it is crass to give yourselves pay raises when the economy is, people are struggling to get work. I think that that's always been kind of weird. I don't think that there's anything wrong with being like, hey, let's hold off on it. You're still getting paid $180,000. Like it used to be. I was talking with the old Rhino leader Sebastian about it, but he talked about how, when people would be like, "What would happen if you win?" He'd be like, "Oh, I have $175,000. It's 175,000 reasons to win with my salary, but now it's 200,000, and you're like, that's crazy. Like as I'm and I think that yeah, no, I would sit down and say like, first off, we're stopping this. I would sort of make that motion. I have explained what would happen if I won. During the one candidate debate that we
Yep.
had, I sort of explained heavily that I think that there's a lot of lobbying loopholes that need to be
Hmm.
filled, and I think that also comes when we start looking at big money. I think that that's something that needs to be accountable to Canadians. I think Canadians need to be like, oh, okay, I feel comfortable with my tax. You can give yourself a raise when the economy is going well.
Yep.
Because right now it is kind of a bit stagnant. We're in that weird moment where it feels almost like the 70s again, where there's stagflation is on the horizon. But I think, yeah, you sit down and you got it. I would do everything in my power to make sure the pay raises stop. And then if I get voted down, if I'm the only one who votes for it, I'd be like look at this, look at this nonsense. That would be kind of yeah. So yeah, to answer your question, Sammy, of course I would stand up and say that there's too much money being spent.
Hmm.
And that I think at the very least stop the raises every year. That's insane. We'll keep up with inflation while everybody else can't is pride before the fall, That's kind of the vibe I'm getting.
Hmm. Yeah, and were you able to watch my that I went to a Pierre Pouliot campaign like rally here in Kitchener? I
Sammy, you've had a very intense week where you got not only was like that, and then the ATM thing where the guy was trying to kill you. Like
Yeah.
Sammy, you've had a wild week. Needless to say, I did watch it. Sammy, you were trying to climb to the heavens, and they threw you down like Icarus.
Yeah, like like there were some other journalists or cameramen, even though like the YouTuber, I don't know, Plub, the truck driver, he is a famous YouTuber. I don't know like if you know him. I don't know like maybe he's from Ontario or wherever. He was using, even though like Pierre Pouliot's wife, what is her name? Anand?
Aneda, yeah, and I don't know
Aneda.
how to
Yeah,
pronounce it,
she
but
she acknowledged her. She acknowledged him, like when he was on the top of the ladder. There is a picture of it, and it is there. Like on, if you watch my video, like you can watch it. She acknowledged him. Okay, so when I went there, no one was there, and every other cameraman or journalist were using that ladder to take a better picture. Like I went there just using the ladder. There was no sign that it mentioned that no one other than mainstream media can use it, or the supporter of
friendly media. Yeah, their
like,
friendly media can use it, but not
yeah,
Sammy. Sammy
Sami
keeps
Parvez
everyone.
is not allowed.
Yes.
So I went there. Then it was like I noticed it was just less than a minute. She came on the top. She asked me to leave. I came down from the ladder. Then because I was videoing that woman, like covering
She
her
was
face.
not happy.
So
Yeah.
that was, she got mad. She said, "You cannot film me." I said, "Why I can't?" So then I went like stood with the crowd capturing the covering that rally. Then she asked me, I need to leave. I left, but I shouted that,
You did.
"Fearfully, you says that." You say that you will make Canada one of the freest country on earth, but you don't let people like me to be in your rally. So what the hell would you do with how the hell would you make Canada a freest country on earth? So what's your take? Do you think I was wrong or those folks were wrong? What do
I
you?
I was proud of you, Sal. I said it immediately. I didn't even know what happened, but when I saw you got kicked, I said just hashtag justice for Sammy. I stand by you. You know, if they're going to
Yep,
sit down, there was no sign. If they could point to a sign that said no Sammys allowed,
yep.
and then certainly I would sit down and say, Sammy, you shouldn't have done that.
Mhm.
But I see an innocent individual who has been attacked by the oligarchs, and it's sickening, and it's an unfair, it's simply reprehensible thing that took place that afternoon, evening. I don't know what time it was at, but regardless, Sammy, I think that if then the worst case they say, "Hey, get down from there," you go, "Okay," and then they leave you alone. But instead, it all had to explode. Those are politicians, sensitive Sallies at it again.
Mhm.
Sammy, I'm gonna if I ever have a rally, I'm gonna have 20 ladders, and I expect you to make it to the top of every single one.
Yeah, hope so. Yeah, next one, whenever you will run, uh,
Yes.
cover my expenses. I will be there.
Good, good, good. I like that. Or if I'm in Kitchener, I'll have a ladder for you to
Yeah,
climb up.
yeah. And do you have a term of violation any my charter rights? I said this is not a like is this how like free speech? So I don't think that the free speech would be the right term there, right?
I don't think there's a chart because it's the private event, right? Like people can tell you to leave. I think it's just
Mm-hmm.
kind of, cowardly.
Yeah.
Like I think that's where the problem. It's like, yeah, it's true. It's like it's a private event. And if
Mm-hmm.
the organizers tell you to leave, you don't really have much of a charter challenge there
Yeah.
because but I think it's the optics of it, right? It's jerky political nonsense. And my good friend Sami Parvez was cruelly thrown out for just climbing a ladder. How many of us have climbed a ladder? I've climbed a ladder and I've never been kicked out of a thing. And they accept you, Sammy. And I think that's where the problem is. I don't think it's much of a charter thing, but
Mhm.
I do think that it's a human being thing. It's a
Mhm.
decency thing. And these people are not decent.
Yeah, I think then now I openly say that they will lose in this election. If they would lose it, they must remember they kicked me out
It
from
was
a
true.
rally in my hometown.
That was the moment.
I have been working behind the scenes, pushing Canadians get out and vote for a change. Like what that mean. Like you should not vote for the incumbent government, incumbent like MPs, elected official. You need to vote for a change, vote for an alternative party, vote for an alternative candidate. When you are not doing, when you are kicking me out, like God is watching. Like the God is watching. Now, like things will get changed. Like the polls are telling the uh, it means polls are making it crystal clear that conservative have no chance to win in this election. No one knows like what would happen, but with respect to what polls are suggesting, this could happen. Don't you think so?
Well, yeah. Well, I listen to a lot of I'm a Patreon subscriber to the Numbers podcast, with Eric Grenier and Philip
Mhm.
Fournier, and I listened to them, and they were talking about how, like, because everybody likes to bring up how, well, Kamala Harris lost and the polls were showing she was going to win, but
Mhm.
if you look at it, the polls actually had her numbers pretty good. They just
Mhm.
underestimated how many people would come out for Donald Trump, but it's like the difference was about a 2.5% difference between what the polls were suggesting and what the final result was. In order for the conservatives to win, it would have to be a 10%. Like it was not 2.5, it would
Yeah.
have to be 4 times as much, which
Mhm.
is like the polls would have to be that wrong. You'd also have to have the polls that are like good for the conservatives would also have to be wrong. And I
Mhm.
think that becomes quite difficult. Now, of course, anything can happen. Polls can be wrong. I do think if the turnout, I've been thinking about this. I think if the turnout is on the higher end, I think the conservatives will get the minority government because I think there's a
Mhm.
lot of people who haven't voted that might go out and vote. And from what I've been reading and even just door knocking and talking with people, the undecided people seem to be leaning a little bit more towards conservative. But if the turnout's about the same, then I think it'll be another liberal majority. But I think if it goes up, I think we might see something. But I think that the polls are fairly on it. I think a lot of people are fine with comfort, which annoys me. I like change. I like
Mhm.
change. We should have your favorite party, Sammy. The Green Party should have a majority. What do you think about that, huh?
I don't like green like at all. Like I was very glad, like I was excited when I learned that green were removed from leaders debate. They don't deserve they don't deserve to be on that stage, like sharing the stage with other leaders. Like it seems like giving them a chance like on DEI quota. I think like like whatever I always talk about quota, it means they are French party or like they are far left party and they were given a chance. We should give a chance to also to uh, Rhinocéros Party or PPC, or there are some other party. There is a new party like Canadian New Party. I don't know like what is that, Center Party or
There's
whatever.
a lot. There's a
Yeah,
few.
there
There's
are
yeah,
lots of party.
which is
Like we
good.
also give them a chance to them. But I don't think like they deserve. I hate Green Party to be honest. I must admit it.
Well, like the thing is that if the debate commission is going to have those, you need these 2 out of 3 requisites.
Hmm.
And if you hit the 2 of them, then I'm like, whatever, I don't care. And if the Greens were running in 90% of ridings, they have the members of parliament, then
Yeah.
sure, they should be able to go to it
Yeah.
because those are what the rules are. But yeah, like as it was getting closer, well, there was supposed to be a Green that was running up here.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, not on the ballot.
Hmm.
And so you're like, oh, that's weird. And all of a sudden you look and you're like, wow, you guys are short like 130 candidates. Like
Yep.
that's nuts. And so then, yeah, then at that point you shouldn't be able to run. Like if they had a full slate of candidates
Yeah.
and the members in, sure, I don't care, whatever.
Hmm.
But it's the fact that they didn't, and then they were shocked, and then they're like, this is unfair.
Undemocratic.
And you're like, huh? But that's like legitimately, you shouldn't have even been there in the first place. But
Yep.
like, I get that's the stuff that frustrates me. It's like, and it's the same thing. It's like PPC shouldn't be there because they haven't reached the metrics that are there.
Mhm.
So be it. But I think that like if you're gonna if that and I'm happy that the debate commission actually stuck with it, but it sucked that it took till like the 11th hour
Yep.
for it to happen because oh well they were strategically dropping out and you're like so if they were just incompetent they'd be able to go silly but I
I
think I yeah
I think like the commission was not about to like remove greens, like at that time there is a CBC report like it says that commission defended its decision to invite greens on the leaders debate, like then suddenly on the 11th hour as you said, it means they kicked out greens from the leaders debate, like the commission faced criticism, like that's why they removed it. This is not a democratic way, like I don't know, like so just to confirm, this leaders commission was created by liberal government, right, in
was
20.
it I didn't
I
know
think so because before there was no commission, what I read from the website.
yeah debate commission Canada is an oh so it's independent.
Yeah, it is an independent, but it was created back in 2018 or so.
2018. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, see,
Interesting.
I love like what Pierre Poulier said multiple times. Whenever there would be a crisis, Trudeau may make a bureaucracy like our leaders commission. Like this. I think $10 million were spent on it. I think like 10 million, 12 million,
Yeah,
something like that.
that's silly. Yeah, I think because I actually didn't really know that. That's interesting because like yeah, it used to be. it used to be sort of all the television
Yep.
networks would be like, okay, this is now the Chorus TV debate, and
Mm.
then you'd have the CTV Bell Media debate, and then you'd
Yep.
have the
Yeah, there
Rogers
was
debate.
a back in 2015 there was a Globe and Mail and then
Interesting,
other media
interesting.
outlets and
But
also
yeah,
in
now
2011.
now you've got to make a bureaucracy and have weird rules and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know. That's yeah, stupid.
yeah, I think this was the very first time like Greens had a chance to be on the leader debate. I think in 2015 and 2011 there were no Green, just like four major party: NDP, Conservative, Liberal, and Bloc Québécois.
I loved it when like Elizabeth May was on the debate stage. That was
Wow.
always I loved it because she was so weird and it was so fun because it's
Hmm.
a very rhino-y thing. And I think that's why you need to have more people on the. They should have like, of course, the main parties,
Yeah, I think
and
we.
then they have like a raffle, and
Mhm.
then it's like depending on how many candidates you're running they'll reach in and they can get two more people. So
Mhm.
everybody gets a chance. And
Yeah.
so they'll spin it, spin it, spin it. And then they're like, okay. And of course, yeah, if you the more candidates you're running, then you have a chance of debating on the main stage. I think that would be kind
Mhm.
of fun.
But
Like
I,
a
w-
yeah, lottery.
But I would love to have a like two leaders debate. Like yeah, yeah. In UK and in Australia, I think the election is there recent. Like I
Hmm.
don't know, like when is Aussie's election, but there was a leader debate where there were just two parties leader, and also in UK too. Like we have also our south of the neighbor. They have just two top leader. Like Democrats and Republican leaders.
I think that well, it's I like our little Canadian heritage where we
Mhm.
always have the NDP there, kind of poking at the bear. Because like even like the '80s with John Turner
Yeah.
and Brian Mulrooney, you had Ed Broadbent there that was sort of poking on all sides, which I actually quite enjoyed. I think it's nice actually having I think a little bit more. I understand where people are coming from, where they're like, you should probably have the ones that are have a chance of winning go at it back and forth. And I think that maybe having one of those wouldn't be the worst thing.
Mhm.
If you're yeah, whoever, but I think I don't know. I enjoy having
Yeah,
the
it's a
third.
Canadian way, right?
It
Like to
is the
bringing more
Canadian way.
people.
You want to
Welcome.
have a couple more. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow, Canadians are too nice. Don't be too nice like what Trump is doing with the Canadians.
Oh, we're too nice. Too nice. Oh, that's we're gonna kill them with kindness. That's a Rhino Party promise for our military. We're going to weaponize our kindness and kill them with
Mhm.
kindness, Sammy.
Yep. Yeah, like so let's talk about. Yeah, I need to ask you one thing. What do you analyze? Like, if conservative would lose this election too, will this conservative will be divided into two groups? There would be two parties, maybe some joins like PPC or another party. Do you expect this?
No, I think what'll happen, it's I'm getting vibes of like 1980 when Pierre Elliott Trudeau won again. And then it was 4 years and then the liberals got absolutely curb stomped. One of the biggest conservative majorities came from that. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of the vibe I'm getting, where, Canada's economy was slowing down through the 70s because of sort of stagflation. We were kind of stagnant. We were kind of just humming and hawing. And then all of a sudden, the liberals, everybody in Canada is like, we'll give the liberals one more chance. And then things once again started to slow down. I think if you're the conservatives, I don't think they're going to do if they were to lose again and if the liberals do nothing and things sort of continue being stagnant, inflation continues rising, I could see them sticking it one more time. And if they lose again, then I think you start looking at the possibility of division and everything like that. I think that they'll stick around for one more try, and then you'll see the rise of like the Canadian Alliance and all the Reform Party stuff. The PPC will merge with like, and it'll be wacky if they lose again.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just they've been dealt an unfortunate hand. It was once Trump won, and then you make your whole platform Justin Trudeau is bad and the carbon tax is bad. That was really the conservative platform with Jenny Byrne was really pushing that. And then there's no Justin Trudeau and the carbon tax is gone. It's like, what platform do you have? And they were kind of caught off foot. So I think you've got about another 40 years after this if the conservatives don't win. And then, and then at that point, if they don't win that one, that's when stuff gets wacky. But I think they'll stick it through. You sit down, you regroup, you try it again, and then if it doesn't work, that's when it explodes.
Yeah, like back in June 2024, when I had a great Canadian journalist and columnist for the Toronto Sun, Karen Vansela, he said the same thing. Like, if Trudeau resign and things get changed, and what plan B do you have, conservative? Like the same thing is happening right now. They removed the carbon tax. Trudeau dropped or resigned, and things are changing, like completely, and conservative can't control them. Even though I don't know, like, why the hell Pierre Pouliot is running away from the media. Like, you stick with four questions with four reporter. You did not allow media to be on your plane. Like, you need when a politician like yourself, like, when you are getting free coverage, so why don't you take it? Like, you must take it if someone is giving you money. It seems like, rather than advertising, paying to social media platform, right now you are getting free coverage, so why wouldn't you take it? So if you get such offer, don't you take it?
Oh, every time I've gone on weird podcasts with weird people, and I'm like, why not? I'll stop by, say hi. I've been like on weird communist far left. I've been on far right ones, and I'm like, whatever. If you want to talk to me, I can talk. I love talking. It's my favorite thing. I don't
Yeah.
particularly care who the audience is. If you,
Mhm.
yeah, go on like a crazy weirdo, and then I'll make fun of that. I'll make fun of everybody. I'll make fun of the communists. I'll make fun of the Nazis. It's easy. It's fun. It's
Yeah.
and those are neat people to talk to too. So yeah, I think. But like to be fair, it's also you look at how Mark. Like, one of the things that drives me crazy is how people will sit down and do a lot of whataboutism. So it's like, liberals will sit down and point at how Poilievre's not taking questions, only four questions. And then conservatives will say, yeah, well, Mark Carney. And then I'm like, they're both bad. Can't we just all agree that they're both
Both bad.
really, really bad and that you could do better? That's what I always hope for. But everybody's so entrenched in their political party, and that's frustrating. And but you kind of just keep on. I hope. Sammy, one day I hope that both three parties fall apart and then there's the new party. The fact that we're still being governed by a party that existed in 1867 is really strange. And like the other party has roots connected directly to the party from 1867. You have the conservatives and liberals have been, and you're like, can't we do better? I think we can do a little better, but those are my ideals. I'm being an idealist here, but that's the
Mhm.
way I go.
But these two parties are not the same what we had back in 1861, 1861, like Sir John M. Macdonald Party Conservative. Isn't it the same party or no?
Well, it has roots. That's what I'm saying is that the Conservative Party today has roots, directly tied
Hmm.
to them, right? Because the PC's merged, everybody's merging. But if you look, it's directly connected. And the liberals are the liberals. They were there back in 1867.
Hmm.
And so you're like, eh. And so that's always like it's just tiring. I just think that having that, you should probably just free ourselves and let's vote for the centrist party. I don't know
Yeah.
what other weird parties there are, but that's the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah, it needs time and it needs education. I think our electorals are not well educated. Like, you can use your right and vote for an alternative party or a candidate to make a difference. But I don't know, like, why why they stuck with the same party. Like, last time I was wondering maybe I would decline my vote. Suddenly I had an independent candidate on my show, like Christopher Noon, from Kitchener Center West. He is living in the same riding. He convinced me. I voted for him. Like, this was the easiest thing. Like, people, though he got, like, 200 votes, but it could make a difference, like to tell his opponent that you should do better next time, because like people are changing their votes, like they always don't stick with you forever. So you need to do something with that.
Yeah, no, I think that that's yeah. Hey, and if you're interested and you live in Grand Prairie and you want to vote, I think that you're really smart if you vote for me. But if you, yes, anyways, but I think that what's and I think it's because we've been established. This is one of the reasons why if I were to win, I would limit political party donations to $100. I'd take big money out of it, and I'd make sure that we're accountable to it because I find political parties are nothing more than corporations that want to make a profit. They need to employ people, and in turn, if your entire livelihood is based off of existing, you're going to do everything that you can to stay. And I think that's always been a frustrating part. I think that we've moved past the need for political parties, and I've mentioned this on this show many times, but I think political parties are kind of they made sense back in the 1400s when the first House of Commons existed in England because but now with the rise of technology and how much big money's getting into it, I think that they're all quite compromised. And I think that that's always weird. It's like in Alberta, we have the UCP changed legislations to make gift giving easier and less accountable. And you're like, that's really gross. You probably shouldn't do that. But unfortunately, political parties, they want to have that, get some of that money and whatever can keep fueling and funneling it. And I think that's never good.
Hmm. Yeah, and if like conservative would lose again, will there be a rise of exit movement? Do you hearing something with regard to that?
I haven't. I've done door knocking. I think I might have interacted with one Wex City kind of fella. But for the most part, I think they'll get louder. And I think you might convince a little bit more, but I think it's still going to be quite a small subsection. I think because right now I think it's what is it? It's like 10% of Albertans are like would want to leave Canada. It's like 1 in 10. I think it's something like that. I think you could get that maybe up to 2 in 10, 2 out of 10, 1 in 5. That's how division works. But I don't think it'll be much more than that. And then I think, as I said, they'll get louder. But our premier right now, Danielle Smith, is saying she's a part of Team Canada. She just wants to make sure that things are looked after. Um, and then I think that'll quell a lot of it. And then who knows? Who knows? Like, could you imagine this, Sammy? Mark Carney gets a majority,
Hmm.
and then he uses his federal powers to get a pipeline built across Quebec. Like there's things that could happen. Like we legitimately don't know what the future holds. And like if that happens, like how many people are going to be like, what are you going to complain about? Like there's a lot of ways that Carney could get through this in a way that will kneecap a lot of this frustration. And if he does, it's like, oh, okay. Like, what are you going to do now? It's like, what are you complaining about? We now have an east-west tide, like to tidewater. That's tremendous. Um, so we don't know, and I don't know. But if he does that, like all of a sudden, what happens with that Wexit talk when we're having pipelines that are being built across Quebec to refineries in Nova Scotia and Newfoundland or Labrador? Like, there's a whole bunch of possibilities there.
Hmm. But who do you think is the best leader to lead Canada in this crisis? Mark Carney or Pierre Pouliot?
Oh, Chinook Blaise Leduc, the leader of the Rhino Party, is the clear leader to. Sammy, I'll be honest with you, both of them are not great. I'd probably say like Blanchet is probably your better option if he could be prime minister. I'd love him to be.
Hmm.
It would be kind of crazy. I just don't think. I think both of them are compromised in a way that they will. Oh, and I said it in my thing at the end of the forum that I was in. But I think that they'll sign deals under the guise of patriotism that are going to be very shady. They're going to be clandestine. And I think that that's a really big problem. And I think that that's regardless of who it is. It's like, okay, you saw the all the business leaders that endorsed. Did you see that? All the business leaders that endorsed Polyev?
Mm-hmm.
Like how many of those people are going to get deals if he becomes prime minister? And it just
Yep.
sort of go like it's just gross. There's a lot of grossness to it, and I think neither of them are particularly adept um, at leading through whatever. But I said Yves Francois Blanchet would be my choice to being the
Mm-hmm.
leader to get
Yeah,
this.
but he's more like separatist,
I
like
know. I love
Quebecer.
him.
Like
I
he's
know.
more proud to be a Quebecer
I
than a
love it.
Canadian,
It's
right?
huge. Oh yeah, but could you imagine that guy leading us? Oh, everyone
Wow.
starts eating poutine, and we all cheer for Montreal in the playoffs. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's the dream, Sammy.
Yeah, they changed the time for the debate,
I
like I
know.
don't know like whether it made much impact on Canadians mind to change their vote, like they changed the time because of hockey match, and then like they kept the English debate at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and like Albertans needs to watch it at 5, and British Columbia need to watch it like
Or
4 o'clock. I don't think anyone would get a chance to watch it. So do you think was this the right decision to change the time just for a hockey match and then don't care for the English debate?
I think it's a distinctly Canadian problem. And all I can think of is like if the Winnipeg Jets, which I predicted would
Hmm.
win the Stanley Cup, and they
Yep.
are top of the league and they are really good. You
Hmm.
heard it here first, folks. If you put that money down, feel pretty good. If the Winnipeg Jets, so let's say that this election was called 2 months later. And so now we're looking at like mid or early June, let's say a month later. Like that's right in hockey playoffs, and the Winnipeg Jets are in the Stanley Cup Finals and puck drop. I would imagine that they would move the entire debate to a day that wouldn't land on it. Like that's kind of like, and then everyone would be like, "That's great." Like I think it's just a Canadian problem. I don't think it's actually that big of a deal. Everybody can watch things. Like where we live in a modern 21st century where that debate is now you can watch it online.
Hmm.
I don't think you need to watch it live. And then if you want it, then I think whatever. I think a lot of people are making a mountain out of a molehill. I think it's kind of like a charmingly Canadian problem, but I don't think it was really that big of a deal.
Hmm.
Uh, and I think if it was, Winnipeg in the Stanley Cup Finals, Game 7, we're going to move the debate to tomorrow. I don't think people would care. I think people would be like, "This is funny. It's a Canadian thing."
Hmm. And what's your take on a leaders debate post skirms, like a press conference? Like, was it the right decision to allow that much left right wing journalist? What Globe and Mail veteran journalist called Robert Pipe said they are not journalists, they are agitators. So
It
they dominate the French language is current, but the commission cancelled the English debate one. So what's your take on that one?
the issue that I have with Rebel Media, and a couple of people were mentioning it, was that Ezra Levant is also,
Hmm.
he is a paid third party contributor,
Yep.
and that becomes really weird. It's a sort of I'd have the same problem too if there was Post Media, was making advertisements to vote for the liberals,
Hmm.
and then they send their media people there. That would
Yeah.
make me uncomfortable. And I think that's, and that's what I've mentioned in my thing about I'm not anti lobbying, I'm pro transparency. And I think it gets really strange when you have somebody that is the head of a third party whose journalists are there and he's there trying to advocate and ask certain questions. It's weird. And it makes me feel uncomfortable when somebody like that's there. Um, where it's like you start to blur third party at which point then they would probably be fine. They have to be fine if weird left wing, far left things start to come in there and ask pointed questions. But I have a feeling they won't be fine because there's a lot of hypocrisy amongst these folks. And I think that, like I'm blocked by Ezra Levant and Kean Bexty and the whole Rebel crew because I pointed out how they were canceling Ryan Jesperson for his speech. And I was like, that seems really weird that are you guys not free speech? It seems like you put your morals and your ethics aside when it's convenient. And it's a similar thing where they're sort of crying foul. Oh, how dare you go after us when your boss is a third party contributor to things. That's really weird. It's
Mhm.
odd. I would have less of an issue. Like, I think like True North, I'd have to look and see what they're connected with. Rebel News, I feel shouldn't be there. I'd have to look and see the connections with True North, but I'd feel a little bit better with True North there because I don't know if there's any immediate connection with Andrew Lawton and that crew. But at Rebel News, it feels weird. It feels like a weird thing to have. That's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, like I think like True North is a good connection with conservative. I think so. I'm not 100% sure, but there could be
Yeah,
some connection.
but if
Like
they, but if True North had was like the head of True North was also the head of a third party
yeah,
advertiser that's trying
uh-huh.
to get the, I would be like, that's also really weird. Similar I said, if Post Media or if one of the media people were saying, hey, I am actively trying to get this party engaged. Now I'm going to ask questions at a scrum. Really weird. So like I don't know, like I'd be if anything, if it was like if we want the NDP to win, we're gonna ask questions. Yeah, like if what is it? There's a couple of like the what's the one? The Alberta worker, which is, pretty socialisty thing, was to be there and they were advocating and the leader of that. Like these are hypothetical. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
the but like if but this is, if they were running a third party thing to get the NDP elected and now they're asking questions, like there's just sort of like a logic to it that I feel people were missing there. And you're trying to appease things, but I think that yeah, if you're obviously the head of a third party advertiser and you're trying to get it's weird. It's weird, Sammy. I don't know. It's just my thoughts.
Yep, I agree with you. Okay, let's come back to like Grand Prairie riding. So,
Yes.
can you please like, do you have any volunteer on
Oh, it's
your
just me, Sammy. It's just me
unmen?
and my greased palms and the sweat. You can see the coal dust on my face. I feel like a mine worker.
Okay, like one man army.
That's what it is. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. A rhino walks alone sometimes. I think they go in herds, but we'll move
So,
beside that.
so did you receive any donations?
No, the problem here, Sammy, is that as soon as you receive donations, I've encouraged people to donate directly to the Rhino Party. The
Mhm.
problem with donations is that the paperwork becomes kind of crazy. So I have done a personal contribution, which is what made these wonderful, wonderful signs.
Mhm.
But I'm not going to accept donations because the paperwork becomes really difficult. And it's not fair for my official agent, who is a good friend of mine, to be thrown into the wilderness. I don't
Mhm.
think he'd particularly enjoy all of a sudden having to file every single tax receipt and all these things, which I think is tough, but that's, whatever. Like if I ever really decide to gun it and run a real solid campaign that has auditors and stuff, then yeah, I would accept donations because I would have people that are, you know, trained in that, chartered accountants and whatnot, not just random people that are good at helping me run.
Mhm. So, do you think you could make a good difference in this election?
I think I think I'm going to do better than I expect. But up here, Chris Workington has won every, and I was mentioning it to before we started.
Yeah.
But 2006 was the first time Chris ran. That was his worst performance, and he still got 60% of the vote. And like even last election, you have the PPC, you have the Maverick Party, you have a bunch of right wing parties that are coming up. He still got 70% of the vote. So I'm like, I don't think and ultimately one of those things where your vote doesn't particularly matter in this riding. It's not a battleground riding. Uh, but I like to run to give people that option, and if they want to vote for me, good. Send a message, and if they're completely frustrated, they have that option, which they wouldn't have had if I decided not to run.
Mhm. Yeah, and where do you go from after this election? Are you going to continue to participate in this election, or if affiliate with any other groups to run any other parts of the country?
Oh, well, if there's going to be like a by-election here in Alberta, I'll probably do what I did when I drove down to Calgary. and got a bunch of signatures and ran as an independent. Um, and if there's another long ballot, who knows? Maybe I'll end up on there. But no, I'll go back to my regular job because I'm a human being. I'm not a robotic, soulless politician. I have a job I enjoy, and I'll go right back to that.
Mm-hmm. And who is current leader of the Rhinocéros Party?
Chinook Blaise Leduc.
He's the interim leader or he's the leader?
He's the leader right now. I know I was gonna run for the leadership of the Rhinos, but I got busy with my other. I was doing an actual serious election that required me to be nonpartisan, so I stepped away
Mm-hmm.
and gave Chinook that opportunity. So Chinook currently is and will might be for a bit. Who knows? We don't. The Rhinos don't really. We kind of just shoot from the hip. We
Mm-hmm.
kind of just where the thread is just being woven in front of us, Sammy.
So is Rhinocéros Party affiliated with Longest Ballot right now with Carlton Long Ballot? Like
One
this.
time we were one time affiliated when it was initially one of the I think it was Mississauga Lakeshore. It was one of the first ones. But no longer fully affiliated, though we like to help out every once in a while, but there's no like complete combined affiliation.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And okay, I don't know like if I ask you or did not, but like how many doors have you knocked so far?
I print off my batches of literature in about 100, and then I go until I run out. So I've probably been getting so I started last week, so I probably knocked on about 300 doors. Nothing crazy.
Mm.
It's just me, and then I just end up talking with people a little bit too long. Um, I'll probably go door knocking tomorrow. I'm just gonna set up my last few signs on the streets, and then take her easy today, and then get door knocking on Saturday.
Is Chris Walks is living in Grand Prairie?
Chris Warkington, yeah, well, he
Work.
lives, yeah, that's all good. Chris Warkington is from the area, so I think he has family. Yeah, his family lives up here. Yeah, well, it's one of those things where you have the moving allowance and all those things that
Yep.
that as a politician you're afforded to be able to get a mortgage and just move wholesale
Mhm.
to a new place covered by the taxpayers. But yes, he has roots up here. He's from up here. I'm not going to sit down and go after him in that way. He went to college up here,
Mhm.
started a business up here, so
Yep. Okay. And like what pardon me.
all good,
Mhm.
Sammy.
Yeah.
All
So how many interviews have you gave so far
oh,
to media outlets?
so many, Sam. I've done all. You can read them all on mygrandprairienow.com, everythinggp.com, townandcountrynews.com. I was just on another thing, the 222 minutes that thing. What else was I on? I've been on. I was on CBC.
Wow.
I did an interview with CBC, which they talked about why do people run?
Mm.
And they gave me a little bit of time on that on CBC Edmonton, which was really nice. Um, I did get an interview about the long ballot on CTV, but they didn't use it because I think they thought that I was still a part of the long ballot.
Mhm.
And it got kind of awkward when I was like, not affiliated. And they were like, oh, and so that was kind of funny.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's pretty much what I
Mhm.
got. Like it's been, and then of course the Sammy Pot. Arguably the best interview that I've had has been with my good friend Sammy Parvez.
Okay.
Unlike those jerks, I was talking to you before we were started this about how all those candidates that you interview a year ago that say, "Of course I'll come back," and then you reach out to them, and then they throw you aside,
Yep.
and which always disgusts me, Sammy, because you're a good man.
Thank you.
And so look at that. I'll come back. Sammy, if I was to ever run for I would come back on here in a heartbeat.
Mhm.
Easily. I'll
Thank
run
you.
always. I'll always say hi to my good friend Sammy.
Thank you. Thank you very much, my friend. And I think, and what's your message to Grand Prairie residents? Why should they vote for you in this election?
Hello, Grand Prairie citizens. It's me, Donovan Eckstrom of the Rhino Party. I just want you to go out and vote. Just vote. If you're somebody that has never voted and you're able to, this is the time to do it. And if you're somebody that is upset with ways of going. Nothing sends a clearer message than voting for the guy that's a joke, because you've all of it. It's clear, it's concise. You would rather a joke than a serious candidate. And I think that that is ultimately amongst the most important things. It's a beautiful thing that you're able to do in a democracy. So, but if you don't want to vote for me, fine, go out and vote. Got options. You have options up here in Grand Prairie. So, yeah, that's my little message. Take care. God bless. Go out and vote. Early voting is happening now. Go vote. Go vote. Go vote.
Okay, Donovan, it was a great pleasure to have you and discussing with you. And you have shared lots of your ideas and your campaign, and we also discuss other.
Hold on.
Hopefully, looking forward to seeing you again, maybe next week or after
Sure.
election, whenever you can. I can make time,
Oh,
and
I'm
I'll.
so busy. It's
I know.
nuts. It's so like I'm probably not going to be. I'm probably going to be unavailable for like 3 weeks. But
Oh,
once we hit like mid
hey.
May, I
Mhm.
should be good. So,
Okay.
but I'll keep
Yes.
you posted. I'll send you messages and we'll
Yeah.
chat and we'll get
Hmm.
back to it.
Yep.
But yeah,
Yeah, and wish you best of luck on your this election campaign, and wishing and wishing to see you the next MP for Grand Prairie. It would be very exciting for me.
it'd be thrilling, Sammy. It'd be thrilling.
Mhm. Okay, Donovan, you take care and good luck and have a good weekend and happy Easter.
Yes, have a happy Easter, Sammy. Make sure you eat a lot of ham.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Don.